Now, the Syrian conflict has forced millions of people to flee their homes, and Amnesty International says 75,000 refugees are trapped in a no-man's land between Syria and Jordan. The area is known as the Berm, and Amnesty says people there are running out of food and dying of preventable diseases. Now, Jordan closed its border with Syria in June, citing security concerns. Since then, the refugees have not received any humanitarian aid. Well, for more on this, let's speak to Amnesty's International Senior Crisis Director, Tirana Hassan, who's joining us from Geneva. Tirana, good to speak to you today on TRT World. First of all, just describe the situation the refugees find themselves in the Berm, and how did we get to this point?
Absolutely. It is a terrible situation. Amnesty International was in Jordan last week, and what we found was that there were 75,000 people who are essentially just stranded in this desert no man's land. They have, since the 21st of June, had absolutely no assistance directly from humanitarian agencies. There's been limited water supply, but there's been no health providers that have been able to be let in, and there's only been very limited food, and that's actually running out. And what we heard from people is they are in a desperate situation. We've heard about widespread illnesses, preventable illnesses, such as hepatitis, which are actually now causing a number of deaths. And we have video verification that there are a number of graveyards inside what we call the Berm, which is essentially this desert wasteland.
Now, Tirana, this is a kind of a classic example of a group of people falling through the cracks. Whose responsibility is it to look after these people? And what pressure can be applied to Jordan for them to reopen their border?
Well, I don't think they have fallen through the cracks. This is just pure neglect. And it's not just because Jordan has closed its border. Of course, Jordan does have an obligation to provide safety and protection to the most vulnerable, these refugees who are fleeing conflict in Syria. So they should be opening their border, allowing people into safety. Of course, Jordan has security concerns, and they should be vetting people and ensuring that they won't be of any concern to the country itself. But that's not an excuse to leave these people stranded and wallowing in this desolate desert no man's land. What needs to happen, though, is not just action from Jordan. Jordan can relieve the suffering, but this is an international problem that requires international solutions. What we need to see now is that the international community starts to resettle refugees at a meaningful level. So if countries who could afford to take refugees in resettle them and provide them safety, then this would allow Jordan to be able to absorb some more of the refugees who have been flooding into the border area. So, I think it's very important that we don't just focus all our attention on Jordan. This is a global problem which is going to need global solutions. And next week in New York, we have 2 refugee summits where the international community will meet to actually discuss these issues. And if they don't come up with solutions, the solution being resettlement in meaningful numbers, people will continue to suffer and people will die.
Okay, Tirana Hassan there from Amnesty International. We thank you for your time.